Good afternoon and welcome to Harlem Stage IG digital programming. As most organizations across the country and across the globe have shut their doors due to the pandemic that we all are navigating, we have asked some of our wonderful, incredible, innovative artists to be in conversation with us around what's happening in the world, what's happening in their life, and how art continues to be a vehicle and a portal, a bridge to understanding, to expressing ourselves. And today we have back with us Maimouna Youssef, also known to many people as Mumu Fresh, to talk about her work and what's up with her currently. We were very fortunate at Harlem Stage to have her as our artist in residence in 2018 and 2019. And we are looking forward to 2020, but we all know what's going on in 2020. 2020 is telling us what it wants to be. So we just want to be still and listen and also activate at the same time. So let me start there. First of all, welcome. And how do you balance that need to be still, be quiet, listen to that still small voice, and also resist and disrupt?
Well, I think I just go based off my own feeling, when you feel fired up and you need to take an action, and when your spirit is saying enough. I need a moment. I'm drained, I need to fill back up. I think that's important. The fill up is so important because we're so used to pouring out, but we're not used to filling up and filling up on the right things, because man, scrolling on Instagram, it can be a dangerous fill up, if you are not the curator of what's being, poured into you. So that's what I've been.
It can be a rabbit hole.
Yeah, it can be. You have to know how much you're ready to intake, and when and why. And one of my friends, he coined this term the other day, trauma porn. That's what scrolling through Instagram sometimes can feel like. And it's like, we have to get the information. For me, I feel a responsibility. And what are the steps that we take? What are the actions? We know how it feels, but do we know what to do about it and how to change it so that the next generation doesn't have to deal with it? So that's what I've been trying to really stay focused on, and connecting with community organizers that I feel like are trustworthy, that are they're keeping the bigger picture in mind and making strong actions that are going to change policies, that are helping change perspectives. So that's what I've really been trying to focus on. And thank God my mother has land in the country. So I drove down to my mother's house, and I slept outside for 4 days. I slept out on a rock. And it was like the most peace I've had in years. And I needed that. I needed that, to just touch the earth. And the earth knows all. She's been here since the beginning. And so that was comforting for me to go back to that mother energy, that womb energy.
It's interesting that you say that. For me, being from California, I am longing to be with my family in California. And when I FaceTime with them and speak with them and see them in the backyard, on the front porch, in the garden, my sister has a beautiful garden, and there's something about space and being able to have space, physically, of course, and to be in nature. I've seen also that a lot of folks are starting herb gardens in their kitchens, whether they're in an apartment or a home, and understanding that connection from, farm to table. It doesn't have to be artisanal in a restaurant. You can do it your own self. So there is some wonderful learnings in just connecting deeper. So with I did see one of your posts on a rock, with some sage burning.
Yeah.
How have you, what are you able to share with us in terms of a practice? Some people, and this is to offer options, offer pathways for being grounded.
The breath, I can't stress enough the importance of the breath. I find myself when I'm feeling really stressed, especially about the things that are going on in society, I find myself holding my breath, and I have to remind myself to do breathing. So I've been doing box breathing. It's like a martial art technique. You can do it for 4 counts, for 6 counts, for 8. So you'll hold it for 4. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4, breathe back in. You can do a 4, 6, 8. Sometimes you can do where you'll breathe in for 4, hold for 8, breathe out for 8, hold for 4. So I've been just alternating those breaths. Fire breaths where you do rapid breathing in and out only your nose, or oscillating, like breathing in and out and then in and out, and going back and forth. Just those things that oxygenate our cells, because stress lowers our immune system. So I've been wanting to bring oxygen to my cells, taking baths with herbs, that are known to release negative emotion. And like herbs like sage, like lavender, like cinnamon, like clove. Basil, sometimes basil has a way of like it brings up unresolved things so you can resolve them, but you have to be sure that you're ready to deal with it. So there are different herbs that you can read about that affect the emotional and psychological body in different ways. And I think that's been one of the good things about the quarantine, in terms of not having to be on the road all the time, is that it really gives you time to deal with yourself, and maybe to spend time, like not like rushing through your self-care, but really like spending time to figure out how you feel, like that's always a loaded question. So how do you feel? Like, especially now, right? There's a lot of check-ins that my friends do, and even some people who are a little bit more associate, like, it's like, how are you feeling in all of this? I'm like, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that I even want to answer that.
Yeah. My light-skinned cousins, as one likes to say, folks that are not of color,
Yeah.
that are really concerned and well-meaning, and they too are struggling to try to figure it out. And so I've been kind of inundated with those questions. What should we be doing? What should we be doing? And to your point about how do I feel, that's a loaded question as well. What should we be doing? It's a long time. That question, there's so many ways to unpack it. And what I've been, 2 things that I've done is to direct them to places where they can donate. So no cash bail, to many of the grassroots organizations that are out here on the front lines, donate. And learn about your own history, because white is a construct, it's made up. So you've been bamboozled as well. So learn about you, which will help you understand why there's a lot of the struggles that we're going through now. So tell me about, how not only just for folks that are not artists or don't consider themselves an artist professionally, to use their voice during this time, not just for outward facing, but for themselves. And I guess that's what I want to kind of get to is the breathing. I've also been doing the breathing where you breathe in 10, hold 10, breathe out 10, as many repetitions as you can. And I'm almost up to 1 minute.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I started that at the beginning.
Yeah,
Say again?
I say it's powerful. My mother, like so many of these, like with new age techniques, which are really ancient techniques, are things that my mother has talked to me about my whole life ad nauseum. And it was kind of like, like even crystals, right? When I was younger, like used to be so annoyed by crystals because she would always try to force these crystals on me. And now my son is the same way. Like I'm like, baby, put these crystals under your pillow, in your sock, in your pockets. It's like, I don't want any crystals. And it's annoying when your parents tell you,
I know.
But what I know is that he'll come back to it. Like I came back to it.
Absolutely.
But like, yes, like getting back to using crystals, doing crystal layouts on your body, resonating with them, and just like kind of taking the time to heighten your awareness about the nuances of energy, right? When people first get into energy work, they expect it to be like this huge, impact. And maybe sometime it will depend on where you are, where you are in your spiritual body and journey. But sometimes it's very nuanced. And the real job is to stay still long enough to start to heighten your awareness so that you can notice the nuance. It's like your intuition. When you first start listening to your intuition, it's a small voice. And the more you listen, the voice gets louder and it gets stronger. But if you don't listen, you won't even know that it's there. You won't have, you won't have that sixth sense about things. So aside from the breathing, I've also been using this right here, this tuning fork. Can you hear this?
Yeah.
So this is a ohm frequency. This particular one is tuned to 136.1 hertz. And it resonates, with the heart chakra, and it's also very grounding. And this is what I have been using when I find myself being like really overwhelmed, like sad, feeling confused, like angry, just annoyed, all those feelings that can come in a range of a day when you're seeing so much brutalization, and, it becomes, or you're having conversations with people who are also feeling the same way, and they're projecting their feelings onto you, or if you're empath and you're absorbing people's energy, like all that stuff is mad annoying. And so I'll just sit, and ring it to myself and sing. You don't have to be a singer to do this. You just sing the note that you're hearing, and I'll do it in different octaves. And just feel the resonance going through my body. I'll do it laying down, or sometimes just sitting up, and breathe and sing and breathe and sing until I'm ground myself back to a place. Because everything that we want for ourselves, for our communities, for our country, like, we can't get to where we want to be not being grounded. We got to find a place of balance within ourselves to even be able to go forth and speak and, commune. Like, you want to be at a balanced place. Anytime you're working within an organization, you're going to have a lot of different people's emotions and feelings and personalities and idiosyncrasies. And it's best if all people come to the table as centered as they possibly can, leaving as much of their bullshit or BS, leaving as much of their BS outside of the door, so that we can really work together and, really promote real lasting change.
Yeah, and that's so important. And we know that people bring their whole lives with them into every room and every space. So to take that time to get grounded is so important. And I've been thrilled with everything that's going on to have the time in the morning, because my morning practice has gotten deeper. I also wanted to offer Epsom salt. I've been adding essential oils to Epsom salt. So even if you just have things that you can get in your drugstore to soften up your bath, put some rose petals in there, it definitely is sensory. So you're getting the smell. All of that is grounding. Now, I want to just shift a bit to your workshops that you've been doing. Speaking of people that consider themselves professional artists, or those that have an artist in their heart and want to express themselves through song, through poetry. Tell me about the range of ages and cultures that have been finding their voice through your workshops.
I know. It's been amazing. Like, it started out with one songwriting workshop, and we had students from all over the world sign up. And we did it as soon as basically the week after the shutdown happened. And, everyone had balled up emotion and tensions about what was going on. And songwriting is such a great way to be able to just voice those thoughts in a very constructive way that can, you can turn some of that negative emotion or confusion or whatever you're feeling into an offering, something that's a beautiful offering to your community. And so we did that the first month. We did our first 2 groups. And so then I took a month off, because I'm also in audio engineering school. So I've been working on that. I've been building my studio at home. So that's been really good, ever learning, a student of life forever. And so now,
another side of your brain, huh?
Seriously, there are times I'm like, what is this relevant to? My son is like, yeah, now you know how I feel being in school. But most recently, I'm offering a course called Freedom Songs, and it's specifically about artist activism and about turning the chants that we're using at marches and the language that we're using in our songs to really empower us to help solidify us, bring about our resilience, fortify us. So in the course, we're going to go through a history of freedom songs and how they've been utilized throughout the world and different movements. Because some people who don't have music as a part of their life, they think of it as something that you do on the side on the weekend at a party, and don't really look at it as instrumental as it really is. To everything, to our mood, and our moods inform our decision making. So think about how important music is if it informs your decision making. And so I think that's why music has been so important. If you look at the South African apartheid, every action had a song that went along with it. I watched Amandla, the documentary about apartheid, and all of the guards, they can still recall the songs and the way they made them feel. Like they talked about the fear. Like one of the guards was like, I hated when they sang those songs. It made me afraid. It's like, a song? And there were kids singing the song.
Yeah.
But one of those songs.
And I heard the same thing in a documentary, the jailers in the South, when the freedom riders would start singing in the jails, they would try to, stop all that singing. They would, and you can't, I'm already in jail. What you gonna do, arrest me?
And you heard from the cotton fields, the escape songs that were used to pass coded messages. Music has just always been a really important tool. So I just want to give that back to that history back, because a lot of us don't know that history because it's not taught in school. And if your parents don't know, where would you learn about freedom songs? So so this will be a time where we'll talk about the history of freedom songs throughout the world, and then we'll take some of the thoughts that they're having and look at them and find an affirmative way. There's a process called cognitive behavioral therapy, where you take your negative emotions, your reoccurring thoughts, right? And you write them out, and then you transform them into something affirmative that moves your thought process, which later will move your actions into the direction that you want to go. And I feel like that's what we need to do as freedom singers, freedom writers, is to be able to take all those emotions and now say, okay, I have all these different thoughts, different feelings. Not all of these thoughts give power to where I want to go. So let me figure out the ones and transform the ones, all these emotions, and put it in a way that actually helps to visualize, spell out the life and the world and the future that we want to see. So that's what that course is about. And I'm really excited. We're already at full capacity in like 2 hours.
Wow.
So, I'm excited. I probably have to do it again because, there's been such a great cry out for it. And I just think it's like a lost art form, these freedom songs. We chant our pain, but we don't chant our power. And I think that's where I would like to see that shift happen.
Do you feel this is a time for some new freedom songs? And is that part of the goal of the workshop?
Absolutely. Because you hear it, like every time there is this moment in time, right? We saw this with Trayvon Martin and with the death of Mike Brown, right? Artists felt so compelled to put out these songs. But a lot of those songs didn't last and become anthems the way they did in the 60s in response to Vietnam, and I think that there is a formula to connecting with the human heart and the human emotion and having something become an anthem versus having something just be more of a venting song. And that's what I would like to have our generation create, songs that last the test of time, like War, like a redemption song, like, Imagine, just all of those different songs that were written 30, 40 years ago, and people are still singing them because they resonate with humanity across the whole world, and they help to liberate people, like Miriam Makeba and Tequila, that song Stimula about the coal mines. I remember hearing that as like a 5, 6-year-old, and I was like, that song stuck with me. Like, what is that song? I didn't even know I couldn't understand the language. But when he said Stimula, Stimula, it's like I felt it. And it was so affirmative. It was like, or bring back Nelson Mandela, bring him back home to Soweto. I want to see him walking down the street with Winnie Mandela. Hey, tomorrow. Like, I remember that as a kid. And at that time, I didn't know who Nelson Mandela was. And that song informed me and then my mother started taking me to meet Winnie Mandela and to start to understand about South African apartheid. But those songs are what made me care. you know. So that's what our generation, we need to create those soundtracks for the world to care about what our struggle is in the future that we want to create.
I just had to show my Serafina poster while you're
Oh yeah.
talking. I'm
Yeah.
just so impressed that you know that song. And
Yeah.
I wanted to also just share, as you're speaking, I'm thinking about a documentary I saw on the civil rights movement, one of the many, many documentaries. And John Lewis, you know, the Honorable John P. Lewis said that it was the music that kept them going. And the music was the soundtrack to the movement. So what is the soundtrack of this current movement?
Yeah.
And it's so exciting to just explore that. And I'd love to have you share with us, just think about it, and maybe we can offer a list of like the Amandla, the South African documentary, some other songs, and just a list so people can research on their own.
Yeah.
These are some songs that you should have in your arsenal.
Yeah.
And the call and response energy also, because those songs also had that kind of energy in it, so it kept it going. Those rounds, I guess, is that what it's called when you?
Yeah. I mean, Sweet Honey in the Rock, they have a lot of great ones too. I remember, we who believe in freedom cannot rest. Like that stuck out in my childhood as well. Like I just remember my, you know, my mom, my aunts all singing that. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. And I'm grateful that so many people, you know, at the protest, they've been playing my song, Say My Name, you know. But also I want to create chants and
As a tribute to Sandra Bland.
my tribute to Sandra Bland.
Say My Name.
Yeah. And I think also there's been a lot of chants, and I was talking to a friend of mine who's organizing the protests in Atlanta, and I was like, you know, as much as we want to pay tribute to our brothers who were murdered saying I can't breathe, we have to breathe for them. And so we have to transform the chant to I must breathe. You know what I'm saying? That's weird, because when you take away the breath, you take away the power. So we have to refill, reinstate, fill back up, and give our people that power. The power of the breath is really, really important. And that's something that they took away from our brother. And so we must take it back, you know, and breathe for him.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what have been some of the successes of your workshops, and how can people find out? Are you offering them again? You know, what's going on now? I know you've done a couple rounds of them.
Yeah, so right now I'm doing one free workshop called the Freedom Songs, and that's this Saturday. And I told you that, you know, we've been, they've already flooded the inbox, but maybe if some people don't show up, we will be able to let other people in. But if you go to muniversitystudies.com, I just built a website for it. And I can give you the link so you can post it. But yeah, muniversitystudies.com, and posting all the workshops that I'm going to be doing and really offering them throughout the year, because we're not on tour for the rest of the year. So I'm like, you know, I get to really dedicate my time, because this is like my heart. You can see I love this work. So that's what you can find on muniversitystudies.com.
I see the Freedom Songs as being a series.
Yeah.
People, you know, obviously in this short amount of time, it's already at capacity. So people have to be on the lookout for the next opportunity. And with folks being, we know that will shift into other kinds of movements. So you want to have those songs and those chants in your arsenal. So we're going to be looking forward to one. We're going to send out, just have some data that you guys can do your own research and sing those songs. You know, create a playlist of protest songs, and let that be part of your spiritual practice. You know, that's also part of spiritual practice. So we're going to send people to your website, and I'm so grateful for all the time, your generosity with your time. I know people are coming for Maimouna Youssef and all the juiciness and the clarity and artistry and everything that you bring to the table. So we are super grateful at Harlem Stage that you share some of your time. And what would you say? Is there anything you want to leave us with?
Just to love on each other. You know, this is a hard time emotionally, psychologically for everybody, and we're gonna get through this, but we gotta breathe through it and love each other through it. And you know, take the time you need to pull away and to recenter and pull back into you. You are all you have. So like, you know what they say when you're on the airplane, if this plane go down, put the mask on yourself first before assisting others. So it's a reminder I give to myself and to other people, like, hey, pull away, take time, burn your sage, you know, lay your crystals on your body, take your bath, go outside and breathe, you know. Like we're in quarantine, but we can go outside, sit in
Right.
the earth and breathe. And yeah, pour into yourself. We're gonna get through this, but we need everybody to be the best versions of themselves to get through this together.